Okay, so good morning, everyone. Today is a Saturday, July 14th, and today is our third day of the semester. We'll be discussing SDLC. We have discussed last week, last 2 days, SDLC, SDLC, and other process, DLC, and within that, all other steps and the materials that we handed over the other day to you. We'll go through those and we'll be answering your question that you have or you did not have understanding of. Some of you don't have understanding of some of the stuff. We'll go and cover up in details. And you're not going to learning from 1 day, 2 day sessions again and again. We'll be hosting those and we'll bring those up so you'll get familiarized and you'll understand all those. And as you also practice, like today, those of you who attended the session presented by the other student from the other class, you could say alumni, that kind of tells and shows all of you this is the model of our teaching and coaching. This is how we do. You also have to do the same thing. You're going to be presenting a topic, or you're going to be mentoring, like mentoring or coaching, tutoring some folks on some subjects. So what is our goal is we want all of our students go out of here as a pro, not as a student. So you need to build or gain that teaching skills and leadership skills from here. So this is our goal. The day you, brother Alaf Khan, probably you are unmuted. If you can mute yourself, it would be appreciated. Thank you. So our goal is make sure that you understand the material, what we teach, and you understand what you're going to be doing, and you understand your responsibility when you're going to be at the job. So, and basically what we have discussed the other day, this is what we're going to cover today. And another document I have shared with you all in the email that's called portfolio document, that I would like to go over with that first before I forget that. So this is important for all of you to know. So can you all see my screen? If you guys can unmute and say yes, no.
Yes, I can see.
Thank you, appreciate it. Okay, so you have these documents in your inbox, in your email, right? So everyone should have received that except for Sister Sanjira, maybe. Okay, Sanjira. Sister Sanjira, I'll send it over to you after the our session today, inshallah. Okay, Sister Sanjira joined us today, so we have 2 classes, one by Sister Sanjira. We have covered, and we'll try to discuss those, and also I'll provide you the guidance or coaching and teaching you need from us to understand what we have covered last 2 days, last week. So I would like to, Sister Sanjira, if you can go ahead, please, just to tell me a little bit about yourself, since you're the new student today. Everybody else has introduced themselves on the first class. So if you can unmute yourself and if you can just tell me a little bit about yourself, please. Thank you.
Well, good morning. I'm Sanjira. I was working at Apollo Hospital 10 years, and then I came to USA last 2 years, and I heard about Sabah Balloon, and I came here. I think I will get help from you.
Okay, thank you, Sister Sanjira. I hope that this is a class for you to kind of learn. I mean, since you said you have worked in Apollo Hospital, is it in Bangladesh or is it in India or
Bangladesh?
Yeah, Bangladesh. Okay. Okay, so you do have some computer experience and knowledge, right? Definitely. So that will be helpful. So if you do, work with IT a little bit, I mean, know about the system and stuff, definitely will help. And probably the process as you study and learn, you should be able to grasp on it. So thank you for your introduction. You can mute yourself, and we'll definitely would like to help whatever. So you can just go through these couple of weeks and see if the class is for you. If you're having a hard time, you don't have to join or don't have to do it, but possibly if you stick to it, if you put your mind to it, and it is possible. So I've seen a lot of people that do not have any of the background, anything about the IT or the computers, but they're able to perform this job. It is easy. There's a lot of materials, a lot of understanding requires, and also a lot of effort requires for this kind of task to learn. So definitely, whatever we teach, try to pay attention and try to practice and learn and understand. So more time you spend with it, even though ask questions if you don't even understand anything. So the reason that saying to ask questions, if you do not ask any questions, then you're not going to be able to understand anything. If you just sit there and you're going to be wasting your time. So Sister Sanjira, if you can mute yourself, click on the button and mute yourself. Thank you, I appreciate it. Um, so class, this is what I'm trying to explain to you today is our portfolio that we have created, and this is the actually measurement of our student that at the end of the course, what level they are at and what they have missed and what they have not missed, if they have attended or not. So the first page that you see is a class attendance. So this is going to be given to you. You're going to write down the date every day, whenever you attend, from time to time, what time to what time. So basically online, we're doing online again. The module and topic, actually, basically, if you look at over here, let me get the highlighter so I can point, show it to you. Okay. So if you see the module here, it's module or the topic that we were discussing, and you can write down the whoever was the trainer or the teacher. So who just joined? Oh, okay, Cyan.
Yes, brother. Thank you. Did I miss anything?
Okay, no, we did not miss. We just started. So, did you get a chance to join the other session this morning or no?
Oh, today was the another session.
No, other one. I just invited all of you to join. So sometime do you have a Hangout downloaded on your phone? If you did not, then I would recommend you to download the Hangout from Google so you can join the group. I'll send out the invite to you probably if you don't have, so you can join the. Okay, I'll send you the link. So no, you did not miss anything. You just, we just started, so we were going to discuss about these documents that I have sent out about the portfolio, and also we're going to cover up recap on what we have studied the other week. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, stay tuned and yeah, please mute yourself. Thank you. Okay, so class, so this is the portfolio document. This is the first document that we're going to be, you're going to be filling out. You're going to put the date, and you'll see the topics. You're going to put the date and what time to what time, online definitely, and the module, the what topics we have discussed, and who's the instructor, the teacher or instructor. You can write down. So this is going to give us one second, let me hold on. Okay, this is going to give us the overview of what we have covered and which students have attended. So you're going to fill out your name, your ID. Don't worry about it. Your email, your phone number. So we haven't assigned you the ID. We have the ID, so we can fill it out ourselves. It's not a problem. And then you're going to sign it at the end of the entire session. So we have about 13 weeks at the end of the session. you'll submit, return it back to us. So we'll go through it and see what you have missed, what you need to cover, if you need to cover, or if you do cover, even though watching the videos, and make sure recover yourself. So if you miss one of the class, because everybody have urgency and emergency, so we don't want to hold anybody accountable for. So if you have missed one of these class, we have video recorded. We'll share with you. You can cover up by looking at the video. And if you have any questions, we can guide you on the group sessions that we host on the weekdays. We'll be hosting. So and or if you needed extra time from us to cover up something, then yeah, you can reach out to us. So this document would show your attendance for entire course. The purpose of that we're measuring this, I know that it is like, guys might be thinking that we did that in elementary school, middle school and high school, and so why do you need to do this? The reason behind it, we are not policing anyone, we're not babysitting anyone, we're all adults, and we're going to be working as a professional. So the purpose of this for us to kind of measure and evaluate your readiness, your preparedness of the course, that we can go give you all the materials and say, okay, pay me my money, I'm done with it, you go on your own. We don't want to do that. So the reason that we want to teach something that make sure that you're ready to do your job, daily tasks at the real environment. So that is why that we need to put this measurement along with it, so that it will benefit you, benefit all of us, and also we're trying to build a leadership and a teaching skills in you, so you can be presenting yourself at a workplace as a professional, and so it'd be easier for you, for the team, or whoever you work for. Okay, the group discussion page here, what we are asking you at least 40 hours of group discussion time that you spend. So if you go through all these classes, so I mean, we do have each week. The first week we do not have any of the group discussion, which is like basically the group session in a weekday. So we'll start probably from the next weekdays, which is like probably Tuesday and Wednesday, 2 days. We'll be doing the group discussion, but I'll send out the message to all of you guys. And I highly encourage and recommend you to download Hangout on your smartphone, so you get updates through that. I'll send out the link and make sure that everybody is joining it. So please do that, so that's the way you can stay tuned and updated, and you get all the messages. So if you look at all these the classes every week, that it would have at least 4 hours of homework or the group session, that if you do times by 12, it's like 48 hours, but at least 40 hours minimum, 40 hours we're asking you to attend on those group discussions participation. So this is what you want to be participating in, that group discussion. Basically, everybody need to join that, and pretty much all of it, and please take advantage of it. So that's the way we can kind of complete our session, everybody at the same time. So times are very tight for us, because we're working professionals and we have to pull out our times away from our families and other activities. So it'd be helpful that when we allocate some time, and please try to respect that, to join and utilize it, and try to get the best use out of it. So when you do the group discussion, you're going to log everything, a module or the topics, you're going to log whatever topics that we have discussed on the group discussion or session. You're going to write it down and name of the moderator, whoever's going to be the moderating the group. So basically, one of them would be presenting, like one of you would be presenting. So the model that we have with the other document, let me bring this up so I can show. Okay, 1 second. Let me bring it up so you guys can take a look what is like gonna be. Second, let me bring it up. Okay, so basically the calendar that we have, I have shared with you right last time and showed you, and there's the same calendar that I'm sharing again with you. So as I have mentioned about the group discussion participation, so and also group discussion moderation. So these are the ones that are going to be done by like tutoring receiving. So the group discussion participation, you're going to be group joined as a attendee, and also will be doing all the homework or whatever helps you need it throughout the weekdays. And then again, we're going to go to group discussion moderation. So moderation means like one of the topics you're going to select out of, let me show this calendar. We got that honestly. So like for example, today the earlier session like at 9 to 11, the brother Azad had presented on tutoring on SDLC. So that's supposed to be the tutoring, but well, that was he did a great job of it, bringing up the real life experience to you to kind of understand what you're going to be doing, or you know, it may vary, but basic fundamentals of testing that you need to understand. So this is what he did today as tutoring, basically. So tutoring would be more about anybody can ask questions based on it. So he was like asked by the student. A lot of questions was asked by the student from other classes, and he was given. So they're the first batch actually moved out, and they're some on the way to get their career, and some already joined the team. So they shared their experience, and they also took some questions and tried to answer. Although some of the answers probably at that moment was not specific to the question, but yeah, well, we wanted to just kind of give you an understanding of that. This is when you learn something, try to understand well, and that you're able to explain what you have learned in front of the audience and from the other students in your group. So this would be like a moderation part of it, like as a moderator that you're going to be presenting. So, and you have to do that for about 10 hours, which is a 10 group sessions. You can choose a different topics like SDLC, FDLC. Then we're going to be teaching the SQL. You're going to do SQL, and then you're going to be doing Java. We're going to be teaching Java and then Selenium. So those topics that you're going to be doing, like a five topics, 2 hours, this is 10 hours. So 2 hour session, you're going to be, each one of you is going to be doing, and other students also going to be participating too. So the tutoring, like moderation, the minimum group discussion, and then here the tutoring received and tutoring offered. So you're going to be receiving, like whoever joining the tutoring, they're going to be filling these out, and whoever providing the tutoring, they're also going to fill it out. So we have allocated hours for each tutoring offering. So you're going to be doing like a 5 session, 10 hours on the 5 different topics. So this is what going to prepare you for what you learned and practice and present. So this is what we're implementing. So we have that measure put in place so we can see how you're presenting and what is your like a level of understanding of the materials and the topics. So mentoring attendees is like a 20 sessions of 2 hours duration. So it's like at least you have to attend minimum of 20 hours, 20 sessions of 2 hours. That's going to be about 40 hours. So this is what you're going to be doing. So anytime you see that any of the mentoring message on your box, there's somebody presenting and stuff, attend on those and log this on your sheet so you know that you covered it. Like anybody presenting, you take that advantage. And if you're available, I mean, not forcing or not telling, but at least meet those that will be beneficial for you. So also mentoring offered, which is like as was like the today's session was pretty much like that. It should have been able tutoring, but the mentoring would be more like you would be presenting yourself. No one will ask you a question, but tutoring would be like more asking questions on any topic they can go and you ask as a student they can ask questions and they'll try to answer best of their knowledge. So what they have understand as far as from the class or the other resources, they'll try to answer that question. If they don't, that is fine, absolutely fine, not a problem. But one thing that we would like to emphasize or tell everyone, please do not be shy. If you're shy answering or presenting or asking questions, then this job is not for you. Because this is what you're going to be interacting with the folks, with the team. And you cannot just isolate yourself and not talking. So you have to ask questions, be talkative, like talking, like discussing, and you're going to be involved in discussions. You're going to be explaining things, how it's being done and stuff like that. So this is very important. That's why we're trying to get you that tools and techniques from here. So when you're out in a real world, so you don't struggle. So we're going to be having the quiz and a homework or exams like during the Java session and Selenium, and like as we had homework like last week. Some of you submitted, some of you did not. I would encourage you to go through these materials and try to write up something, or there's some online help you can take always, and come up with your best understanding of each module or each question that we send it to you. I can hear somebody's background. Can you mute yourself? Like caller 4. Let me mute you. Okay. All right. So this was the lab and quiz work. That's going to be at least the passing score. So you're going to be evaluated on your grade of Java, basically Java, and the other exams and quizzes going to be given Java and Selenium. So try to focus on what is taught in the class. And if you do not understand, we have videos. We're going to be recording it and sharing with you. Go through the videos. Try to understand what was said, and if you still have confusion or any trouble understanding, please reach out to us via chat group, or like we'll post it, or if you think that we can cover that on the next class, we'll just send a message that hey, we're going to be covering it or whatever. But we're going to have that group session open during the weekdays too. So so we will make sure that you are not left alone and you understand what you have trouble with. Mock interview and minimum requirements for 8, which is like 8 and 2 times 4, which is like about 8 mock interviews in each module, recruiter, HR, and phone screening, and face-to-face. So our job preparation boot camp that we provide basically at the end. So but you are going to be ready for that while you are learning. Now, for one thing that I would like to say, when you learn something like maybe this week we're learning SDLC, SDLC, DLC, right? Those things that at least, so when you learn it fresh and you're practicing it, if you want to go through do a mentoring on it, like presentation, you better just do it. So you get practice out of it, and other students also will join. So other students also get the credit for they attended it, and they'll get encouraged by you that you have done it, and somebody else also can say, hey, if my uh, fellow student or the classmate could do it, then why can't I? So everybody will, come out of that shyness. And this is what we want everybody to come out of it. And anything you understand based on your understanding, you can present it. There's no right or wrong. So if you do not do it right, we'll try to help you to correct it. And there's a lot of online help too. So you guys can basically, we're just showing you the tricks and techniques how you can gain our knowledge. We can provide you with the material and the lectures, but we cannot just set that in your brain how it should work. So you're the one has to be the main driver of your head drive, which is like a brain, that how you take it in, how you interpret it, and how you bring it out on your lecture or on your teaching or on your mentoring session. At the end, we'll be providing a live project, like about at least for 3 days. So we'll basically go through that entire process again, like, attaching kind of giving you the understanding of how the real live activity is going to be at a real work environment. And we'll also have a team project. We might just assign some of the projects to you as a team that you guys can complete as a team. So there will not be any development task, but we'll be giving probably testing tasks for you to kind of work together and complete. Okay, the next, we're gonna have question, answer, interview preparation classes at the job preparation boot camp. So you're going to be attending those at least 10 sessions of 2 hours that you have to attend in order for you to get prepared. But you can prepare ahead, like basically you may not have to attend all those, that if you're prepared yourself by presenting on each classes that you learn, presenting and kind of be on the topic and giving a speech or tutoring to the students. So this is what's going to be our tutoring sessions, and everything's going to be throughout the entire year. The calendar, we'll share the calendar in a time slot with you, so you guys would know exactly what when you can do, and book your slot. You can announce it, then we can have the groups and students to join. So like we invited you guys to join the other session. So he did his part of what he needs to do, and although they were the first class, so we did not have a chance to implement it, but although we asked him that if he could do it, like even though he's working, but still he accepted the fact that he would come and do it. So this is how it's going to be, and you can join like a different student, like a different student can join your class. Maybe you're presenting, the student from the previous class can join in your class. So like when you're basically tutoring, so they can ask you questions because they do have understanding of certain things that they may not have understanding of, some stuff that you may have better understanding. So you're going to explain or based on your knowledge. So this is the last one was, which is like interview preparation. So these are the documents that I have set out to you guys, and please open these up. And if you do not understand any of those, let us know. So this is basically pretty much clear. All headings are clear there. So whatever activities you do, pull out that document and make sure log it in with the date and time, what time you joined, and who was the moderator or presenter, or how many people was in a group and stuff like that. So you can fill those out, and at the end of the course, we're going to collect all those from you to kind of see where you at and what you have done. Any question about these portfolio documents from you guys?
Brother, I have one request. Can you share the calendar with us? You can
For
share
the
it right
calendar,
now.
yes, well, thank you, appreciate it. We're not going to share the calendar, but we will have a spreadsheet that you're going to log. The calendar is like for our update. What we found that when you we'll share the Excel spreadsheet with the time slot, it shows when and what time, so you get better view, and so you can fill out your slot, and we'll update the calendar.
Oh,
So
okay.
when we update the calendar, basically you're locked in the slot, and unless otherwise, like if you have any emergency and stuff, you cannot do so. Definitely yes. Yes, we'll share the spreadsheet. It is more like with the slot allocated, so you can just put your name, that what topics you're going to be discussing, or when if somebody's presenting. Basically, for the presenter, it's going to be the slot booking, and everybody else will be notified. As like today, we notified you to attend. So today's session, you can write down as a attendee, like whatever session you attended, right? So you get the credit for it. So you know that presenter, who was the presenter, who was the like teacher or the moderator. So you can write it down, so you can get the credit for it. Thank
Oh,
you,
okay.
sister, for asking questions. Thank you. I will share that. Anybody else? So are we clear on these documents?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we are done with this document. I'll send out to Sister Sanjira after the class. Anybody else that did not receive these documents from me, please let me know. Email me. I'll make sure that you receive that document. Okay, so we're gonna move on to our topics that we have covered. Okay, so now did everybody get a chance to go through these documents a little bit and try to get familiarized or understand about what are these? I know that some of you did excellent job, and there was a group chat. I think Brother Shaku gave a great explanation on questioning of Sister Parvin. So this is why the group chat we have created, and a lot of times that we, do also answer those to via group chat. So this was a perfect utilize of the group chat, that one another sharing knowledge, like what you're understanding. Then if we see that something that you are explaining differently than what we taught, then we'll kind of pitch in and say, yes, this is right, or this is how it should be. So that's a great use of the group chat and explaining and sharing knowledge. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, Brother Shaku, for pitching in and answering those. And I looked at the homework for some of you, and you guys do have a good understanding so far. And those of you who did not understand, please ask questions. And this is pretty straightforward. If you look at the document itself, right? It says over here, but still there are some other way of explaining and understanding things. Maybe this material may not give, this paragraph may not give you a whole lot of understanding, but you can also go out to online and understand what is SDLC and get more details, so kind of. So SDLC is a software development life cycle, but you need to understand that Why do you need to understand that? Because we are involved in it uh, at a phase where the testing comes in, the phase of testing. But since we're involved in phase of testing, and since their agile method or agile the model they're using right now, so basically it's starting from the defining and designing part there, and also planning part. So agile has itself on the planning, basically after planning, defining, um, after defining what needs to be done. So there are the story created on defining phase. So the story would be more like a user story. User story would be like, as a user, let me give you an example of one of, let me open up one of the sites so I can probably show and explain it better to you guys. Maybe you may have better understanding. Okay, so for example, okay, that's for an example. This is the site, one of the sites actually I picked for kind of show you guys a little bit of automation. So don't worry about what it is. Just to show, like for example, as I was discussing, like after defining, right? So they wanted to, like development team or us as an entire team. We are included in development team, like, and if we work with as a tester, but we may be working with the development team, or we might be individually work as a testing team separately. But if we happen to be in the development team, with the development group, then we're basically involved in like when we're defining, like kind of bringing up the stories and like epics. Like it could be one thing, one module, like a login is the epic login page. The login page is the epic, and then there could be a different module or different story from that epic. One story can cover up this logo. One story can cover up this text. One story can cover up this the message here, and one story can cover up this create account button. Other stories can cover up this, breaking down to like this field, and another story can cover a password field, another story can cover up this login button. So the story would be more like, as a user, when I launch the application, I should see the Sdet University logo and a training, right, sdettraining.com logo or symbol on the top or the heading. Your acceptance criteria would be logo should be in certain way or certain fonts, and maybe in a color it can provide, and should be in a top left corner of the page. So when we do that, so we're basically involved over here to make sure that as a tester, when they're defining or on agile planning phase, like when they're planning the stories after the grooming, like doing the grooming of the story, that we are, as a tester, we're looking at that the story they have written, like business analysts written, is that really understandable? Do I understand as a user? Do I understand? Is it testable? Can I test? If I know that, okay, this is what is acceptance criteria is, okay, this logo has to be there, and there is no, it should be also saying that there's a link to it. So if you click on it, if you hover over, when your cursor changes to the hand sign, then there's a link. So when you click on link, there might be acceptance. Okay, when you click on that, the link or at training right sdettraining.com, it should take you to the homepage or the site. So that would be your acceptance criteria. So when you test it, you're involved in that phase, when defining phase, which is basically would be your story grooming phase. That if you understand the story. So when you understand the stories, then you know that it's going to go to the designing phase, like they'll design how they're going to implement it, and they're going to start coding it here. So basically, you are pretty much involved in each of the stage. Maybe earlier the stage, the planning, the main planning phase, you would not be involved. Maybe the defining phase, you may not be involved. But the designing phase, also how they're going to design it. But during the building over here, it could be involved. So it's like it can be involved. You can be involved on different phases, or you can be involved on maybe just over here during the testing. So waterfall model basically describes like your job is right over here only, but since agile model kind of gets you involved in early stage of the software development life cycle. So if we look at this life cycle and break it down to a agile model. So if you look at an agile model, you're involved in each step of the phase. So during that planning phase, defining phase, you are kind of prepared for writing out your test case. How are you going to test it? So you write out your test case. Okay, you just provide a URL, like basically launch browser, enter URL, launch browser, enter URL. After entering URL, what is your expected result? So when you're entering this URL, so for example, I launch browser, now entering URL, right? I entered URL, and if I click enter, what should I see? I should be on the landing page, is the home page of this. So your test case would be enter URL, click or hit enter. So your expected result is to view homepage. Now, when you view homepage, then your actual result is homepage viewed, and then you can add another column, pass or fail. So this is how you write your test case. Now, since you're testing this story, so you have to go through the URL. So this is the first step of your test case. And then second step would be when you got there. Now, second step would be verify the logo of the company, and also the message or the decorative image or whatever, however it is written there, or could be the link. Verify the link link appeared on the page. So your expected result is verifying it, and then actual result, if it works, it's verified. The link is there, we click it. So this story has been done, tested. So you clicked on a link and you verified it, the link taking you to the home page. So this is how you write out your test cases. So if you don't see the web page by saying when the story is like, you kind of think in your head, okay, this is what the story telling me of creating this page. Now you have to imagine or kind of think. Sometimes they would have the design document, like they will, or the markup page the developer would create. So from that markup page, they'll just take a screenshot. It would not be interactive page. So they'll in a screenshot, they would have these pictures and showing design. So you can write out your test cases. And then when the code is done, you were coming to a testing phase, and we will be starting our testing like this. Pull up one of the stories from either Jira board or manually assign, and we go through it, do testing. And when testing completed, as the testing life cycle ends, like when we're done with our testing, we submit with our all documents that we have discussed on SDLC. Then it goes to deployment phase, and some company would have maintenance phase over here too, if they are maintaining. If they are not, if the government or the product owner, if they have a different a group that maintaining, so they will be handing over or deployed after they're done. So this is basically the cycle. So if you understand it, it makes it easier for you that what phase and what model of the development life cycle will be utilized and you're going to be involved in. So that is the SDLC, and we're going to touch up on some SDLC. Okay, the testing life cycles are basically falls in within the SDLC phase of within the SDLC in a testing phase. So this is the phase where software testing life cycle comes in. So in that, like requirement analysis, we do the requirement analysis, which is basically we're involved in early stage as before they're developing it. So requirement we're going to be analyzing by looking at the stories, like what's created nowadays, like breaking down into small stories. So you know that we do have stories broken down, like as I was showing the example of this page, that how many stories can be in this page. So the module would be the home page. Like Epic can be the home page. The module can be login, and then we can login page, and the login page there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stories. So that will complete the entire module. So when you complete the story, so it could be story 1, story 2, story 3, story 4, story 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 8 stories based on the page or the links or other stuff there, other functionality on the page. So we're analyzing basically the requirement and looking at the requirement, and then test planning. We plan out our test, how we're going to test it, what environment. Environment is the testing environment that we're going to be testing on. Like there's a lot of different environment, like when developers code or develop, it called dev and development environment, which is there is a database, there is a operating system like servers, which is the application servers. There are middleware. There are some web services requires based on the customer requirement, what type of product, what type of business they want to apply, and based on the development, the company's suggestion, they can go with the technology they want. So based on the technology requirements, depending on what type of database you're going to use, what type of web service you're going to use, what type of platform like operating system you're going to use, which is could be Linux, Unix, or Windows. So on those, based on test planning phase, everything is like plan out how it's going to be tackled and include everything with the environment settings and all aspects of planning, that what, and also risk, what kind of risk we might face, or the resource allocation and everything on the test planning phase. test case development. So we start developing test cases of the environment ready. So analyze the requirement. We start developing the test cases based on the story, user story. So here, the environment setup. There's going to be environment like an environment and a boat, and what we're going to be needing, what we'll need for the environment setup. Like for example, if I am using Windows 10 and I have Microsoft Edge on my machine, like for the testing purpose of the machine requires machine, like if the application developed on only compatible with IE8 or IE9, IE11, then Edge would not be or may not be compatible with the application. So if I test my application with Edge, it is not a proper test. So I have to test it with IE11. The reason Internet Explorer 11 is a little bit different than Microsoft Edge. So I make sure that I have that if the application requirement says that the application should be accessible by Mozilla Firefox or Chrome browser or Safari browser, then we should be testing, also make sure that we have that set up in our environment, what test environment are we going to use to test. Also the environment on the other end, like a server side, to make sure that all the connectivities and everything is ready, application is deployed, the codes are deployed, so everything is there to test. So both sides setting up the environment. That way, environment, like I was saying, that it could be different environment, test environment, dev environment, test environment, set environment. You hear those terms, make sure try to understand those. Set, dev, what is dev? Dev called development environment. Set environment, which is system acceptance testing environment. Then we call SIT environment. SIT is like system integration testing environment, called SIT environment. And there can be staging environment where they stage all the code, because staging. Hello?
Somebody noising, like.
Yeah. Can you mute yourself, please? I heard some noise. Okay, I muted the person was unmuted. Okay, so yeah, this is so environment. There's a lot of different environments. There could be like some agency or company called Quax. Quax is like a QA environment, QAX, Quax. Quax is like more like a quality assurance environment. This is what the QA team goes in and tests. Some call like a test environment, which basically the code's going to be testing there, and different terms, different calls. So not unique, but at least knowing and understanding, so you don't get lost when I tell you this, it's going to be test on set environment, so you know what, like right away, because you're going to be going as a professional basically. So those are the terms. Try to learn those. If you do not have understanding, ask tough questions. You'll hear me saying a lot of stuff. Maybe I may not be thinking in details of explaining it to you, but please stop me and say, can you tell me about this, that? So if I use those acronyms, please stop me and ask me questions. So environment setup, basically any environment that we're going to be dealing with are mostly test environment, whatever environment that we're going to be testing it. Like we need to make sure that environment is available for us, and also we're going to be setting up ourselves whatever we need for testing. So as a Sdet engineer, we are going to be doing setting up our own environment, like on our machine, because we're going to be automating the code and we're automating the manual steps. So therefore, we have some requirements to meet as a Selenium, Java Selenium Sdet engineer, that we need to install some tools such as Selenium, jar files, and Java, make sure, and also IDE, which is integrated development environment, like it could be Eclipse or IntelliJ, those IDE that we can use for. So those are the things that we have to install ourselves and make sure that we can run a test against the actual app environment, application environment, or the testing environment, and see if it's working. So there's a lot of different way of environment setup. So those are the one happens in this phase of SDLC software testing life cycle, and then we start test execution, basically whatever the test cases we have written out. Now, if you need to automate those, manually test those, and if you need to automate those, we automate those test cases and start executing here. So make sure that all our environment set up, our test cases are ready, our test scripts are ready, then we can just run those test cases or manually execute those test cases. In this phase, the test execution phase, and then test cycle closer. So the life cycle closer, at the end, we submit all the findings, all the documents, all the bugs that we have found during that testing phase. After the test execution, if we find any bugs, we utilize a bug report, log it, dissolve it, use the defect log, maybe with the tools like a Jira or LM, or manually log it in with the document that template that I have provided, and it can be submitted. So we document this, and at the end of testing lifecycle closure, we create a document. Not necessarily every tester or everyone will be creating it. Mostly the lead of the team, the test lead, is the responsible and does create it. But if you do have experience, knowledge in case of emergency, that you can create that too. So that's called test analysis report, and that basically tells everything about what we have done, what's been covered, and what's been tested, what's the findings of the testing results, and everything. So, and all the documents, evidence given and submitted along with the test analysis report to the team. And then based on that, they will go on deployment phase, which is like they will deploy whatever is tested and bug-free, like as we assured. But there still might be some bugs that they might find during the production. We're not 100%, but our focus is mostly to find bugs or break the system, break the code if we can, so developers can fix it before it goes to the production, which is like a live, or before they go online, like for public or for users. Okay, so we have covered SDLC. Sister Corbin Hafiz had a question about requirement traceability metrics.
Yes, sir. So until my understanding is that the after test case development, after you verify that what steps in the software has been passed and failed, after that phase, the RTM is created, right?
Yeah, sister. RTM actually drone. It could be at the early of the phase. The RTM. Let me open this up and explain. This is like a mapping. Like for example, I showed you these documents earlier, like our those portfolio documents. right?
Right.
Okay. So in that portfolio document, you have seen that what we have written there, right? So these are the kind of mapping of what we're doing and what you all doing, right? So at the
Right.
end, as you are filling out, like during the course, you're filling out, you're attended there, you have done this or you've done that. So at the end of the course, that we know that you met these goals, right? So we're mapping your performance to those charts, right? So that document is nothing but a chart to map the requirement. Basically, requirement traceability matrix. Let me open it up so I can go with it. So I think Brother, what's his name, Sako has a good understanding and explanation. So each phase there, like basically it can be early at the stage, like not necessarily during the testing, right? So when we submit our documents, it could be, it's not our responsibility to fill out that matrix. It could be the team lead or the project manager or anybody can do it. But as a tester, if we have a knowledge of it, like we know it, we can always be able to participate in and volunteering, like doing it. So we're not backing out of it. But since it is a team effort, so why should it be left out of what we needed? So if you look at our associated ID, it could be the ID associated from the requirement. And then technical assumptions described here, functional requirement described here. So whatever the functionality needs to be done and implemented, it's there. But if you look at that, through that functionality, your test case numbers, right? Number of test cases you have done and tested in what environment. So, and also this is going to be associated with your test case number, like test case IDs, right? So you know at the end what status they're in. So if they're marked like here, if you look at in this column, I can hear some noise, background noise. Okay, so thank you. Yeah, you can, when you talk, you can unmute yourself. Thank you, I appreciate it. So like if you look at over here, so you can see those mapping, those like whatever requirement ID, what status are they in? Like, so they're in testing, if there's in progress, if they're completed, right? So if they're completed, like this ID associated with the requirement, the functional requirement, and then mapping to like testing, test cases being done. So when you mark this is completed. So when somebody look at it, like for example, if I am the product owner or the stakeholder wanted to see the project project update, right? And wanted to know that where we at, where you guys at, that you guys are developing the software for me, where you guys at. So if you reference this document, look at this document, right? You can tell basically by looking at it, okay, this module, which is like basically homepage, the functional requirement was whatever needs to be done on that homepage or the login page, right? So this is going to be documented here, and along with that, with the technical specification, all the documents that we're providing on each phase and what module it is, like login page, right? And test case number, you provide the test case number that were tested in what environment was tested in, state, or DAP, like a development environment, system acceptance test environment, or state system integration test environment. What environment was it tested, right? And then implemented in when and what, like implemented in what environment was it implemented, and then verification. You can write down like a test case is provided, or test steps provided, or test coverage provided, and a verification with the screenshots and along with that. So those are the ones, like, so the testing and a verification is the end part of the development. So basically when they do the requirement traceability metrics, tells anybody looks at this document, tells them the where we are at on the project. So it's basically mapping one by one of each module that we have. So we have 8 test cases on this module, which is a login page. Login page could be a module that we have 8 test cases. So we have 8 test cases covered on this page. And if all 8 covered complete, then we mark it as a completed, tested, and that's what basically it explains itself. So if you look at the instructions over here that I sent out, so it kind of explains what need to be written on each the headings or columns, right? So if you look through it and go through it, you'll find more explanation. But some requirement traceability metrics could be with a shorter description, may not see it. And if you nowadays actually manual the RTM is not prepared and not being done. I'm just showing it to you guys to give kind of knowledge. So basically, if all the tools that we have, application lifecycle management tools like ALM by HP, has the way that you upload your requirements, and from the requirements you just create stories. So whenever you create each story or each module or each epic, and then create module and then user stories, they all automatically branch out of one epic or one requirement. So at the end, there's a requirement traceability metric. So whatever performs done, if it's completed and closed, it'll show on the graph that is covered and completed. Whatever is not covered, not completed, it'll flag. It'll give you indication of incompletion. So this is like a mapping the requirement basically from the beginning to the end and verifying it. So it tells the status like of where we at during the development process.
Okay,
Does
so
it
basically,
make sense? Yeah.
yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So basically, like it will have to be like after each module is tested, and it will have to be complete. I mean, recorded as complete.
This is a living document. Like as you are completing a task and it is completed, you are updating. Maybe you may not have to update when you report it. Your team lead might update it. Your project manager might update it. But you know about the traceability metrics. If somebody asks, the reason that we're going through it, because these are the basic questions going to be asked during your interview process. And if you do not have a knowledge about it, then you will not be qualified as a QA engineer, right? How you become a QA engineer without knowing that, right? So if I ask you, what is the traceability metric? What do you do with it? When do you create it? The document is created from the beginning, like, traceable. So we create it, it's been created and it is traced as it progressed. So like, for example, the document requirement is given, so requirement written down on the requirement traceability metric, what requirement, then when a functional requirement created, that is also documented. So architectural design document created, that is also documented. So that document is like created like at the beginning, but it ends when the project ends. So the completion of the RTM, and that will give the complete pictures of what was covered, what was not covered. But during the progress, if any updates needed, this is the document you can go to and see what stage, where the project is, what condition, what stage the project is in. And if you want to know the specific module that was it covered, then was it done, then you can look at it and reference back to it and say, okay, now this module is in testing, or is in is completed, or is in progress, like working on it. So that can kind of reference entire mapping to like the development from the beginning phase to end phase. Does it make sense, sister?
Yes, now it's completely clear. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, so and there was a question Brother Sudeep asked for the defect module or the defect, right? DLC and kind of the defect document that I have provided, right? So let
Yes.
me open that up and we can discuss that. So definitely. we wanted to cover and make sure everybody understands. It's a 12:24. I mean, I don't know if you guys wanted to take a break now and we can have another lunch, or we may go a little longer today, or it's up to you guys, because since you guys
Yeah,
joined
it's good
earlier
for us because we
to
already
take a
start like
break.
at 9. Yeah.
Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and take a 10-minute break. Is that okay with everyone?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna be back like 12:35. Okay.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We're gonna continue with our session. Did everybody get a chance to get some drinks, something? Okay, so all right, Sister Parvin. So we're good with the requirement traceability matrix, and anybody else in the class. I know that Sister Sanjira, you may have a lot of questions, right? But what I would do, try to go along with the class, and I'll forward you those videos. Look at those videos, and also the documents. I'll forward it to you in your email. Go through these documents and try to understand. If you have any questions, you can post it on the chat, and also you can contact me directly, and we'll be having also those sessions. Um, okay, any other question? Okay, this was sorry, the defect also for Brother Sudip. Brother Sudip, are you back? Okay, Brother Sudip, your question was that are we logging the defect, multiple defect in one document, or multiple documents, right? Am I correct? Or Brother Sudip, are you there?
Yes, brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Was your question that are we logging multiple defects in the same document, or multiple defects in multiple documents? So the template that I have given, actually, the bug report template. Let me pull it up
Right.
so we can
Yeah.
So if you look at this template, this one actually log for one defect each time you find one defect. You use this template if you are doing manually, like
Okay.
manually, or if you even though like if you happen to using a Jira or ALM, there is a one bug ticket you can create at a time. You cannot log in multiple bugs in one ticket. So this is like every time you find a bug, like you're going to be ID would be different, like whatever the test case that you're doing, that test
Uh-huh.
case ID would be there. So ID would be different ID, right? So every time you find a bug,
Uh-huh.
you follow the same step and you log the
Correct.
bug. So that's how it's been utilized. And this is the manual that's giving you the understanding of how it could be written and documented, so you would be more wise in presenting yourself, that you know it. So you have to
Right.
know these things before you go do actual work. Like, even though if they have given you to, like, testing from the day one, if you know it, you know what you're doing, you know how you write your test cases, right? So
Right.
test cases is the one that you're going to be dealing with most of the time, manual
Mm-hmm.
test cases, and then you're going to automate those test cases to a automation suite by writing code like a Java and using Selenium WebDriver. Basically, I'll just give you a little demo and show you guys, so you get understanding of it, that what you're going to be doing day to day basis, and then you know involve on different tasks and different meetings and stuff like that. So a daily life activity will be, there's going to be a lot of meetings that if you happen to be with a uh, development team, testing team with a development team, like a combined team, like if you're in a agile development team, then yeah, most of the time that you're going to be spending during the meeting of different kinds, like internal presentation, like basically demo in your stories, or the developer would demo their stories. Like, you're going to be involved in retrospective that basically happens after the sprint. After each sprint, 2 weeks of sprint, there's a meeting. Anything that went wrong, negative, or anything that you'd like to share, that what impacted activities for the last work period and stuff like that. So those are kind of stuff you're going to be involved in. But yeah, if you know the documents, know what you're doing, like from the get going, you have a good understanding of it, then you are well prepared to present yourself in front of the world. And this is why we encourage questions, we encourage group discussions, we encourage tutoring, we encourage mentoring, we encourage um, uh, like attending on your own group sessions, like if you guys wanted to open up and work together as a group, that those kind of activities that we encourage to do on the topic. And that's how we set it up, our portfolios, that every student would go through these practices, would prepare them to be out there in the world, in the real world. So is it clear, brother Sudeep, or everybody else about
Yes. No, I'm
okay, bug report? Thank you. Thank you.
welcome. You're welcome.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions regarding the SDLC, or anything that you guys like to ask? And then I'll go ahead and go review some of the homeworks that some of you submitted, which is very thoughtful writing and very understandable. So that's very nice that you guys have done. So anybody else have any questions?
No.
Okay. So let me. Okay, this is one of the homework assignment one of you submitted. I don't want to mention the name, but if you mention the name or if you discuss this,
Yeah, it's
but
me. Sdet does.
don't feel shy and don't feel shame. Okay, and this is our intention is not we all learn every day, right? So we're here to learn. So now what we do is like if we even criticize of like your work or anything like that, you should gain the strength from that criticism. The reason because that if somebody criticizes you, they're helping you actually by looking negatively, then look at positively. If I'm getting criticized on my action, so I can correct myself, right? So think that way always. Like anything that we are
Right.
not perfect, we will be making mistakes. We're human beings, we can't. So by getting criticized, I would not take credit and I would not say, no, I'm right, you're wrong. So this is always take that input and see how we can improve ourselves, right? So okay, thank you, Brother Sudeep, for mentioning. Although I didn't want to mention, but thank you to take pride on your work. Also, I'll discuss another homework that was submitted by other students too. Um, so if you look at what he wrote, and this is like a really, really thoughtful paragraph that he wrote, although, I mean, he may get the help from it, but at least he has to understand it before he put it in a piece of paper. So he had to go out there, out in the internet and search it and come up with better topics. So when you're searching on a topic, like basically, if I did not give you the homework, you would not even search for or look for it, and you'd not write it.
And just searching for like the different also like the from internet, then I find out like yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is what I'm trying to tell to everyone. So if I did not give you that question, you would not go out there and search for it, and then looking at the different sites and come up with your thought, how you understand. And when you write your thought, you're understanding it. Like so that actually the better than anybody else have out there. So because your understanding is like become more clear. So software testing is an activity to check the software system is defect free. Software testing also helps identify error and gaps. Look at that. So these are the buzzwords, errors and gaps. So errors we discussed, we found. What is gaps? Now this is the key point that I would like to focus on. That's why I pulled this homework in front of everyone. What are the gaps? I would like to kind of the focus on and kind of give you guys the understanding the gaps. When we create the requirement, we're all human beings, as I said, like maybe the business analysts have understand a certain way, and they did not capture the entire requirement, right? So they wrote the requirement, the picture is done based on their understanding what they wrote, developer understood and everything. Now, when developer develops a application and they did everything is present and everything is there, right? So the requirement is not clear saying that this field has to be letters, numbers only, or this field has to be the password has to be a combination of letters, numbers. Maybe those are missing. So when we do that, we can put it in, and as a QA engineer, that's going to be our focus. Hey, email is just, it's not in an email format. I can put anything on there and it's taking it. Like, so those kind of things got to be met. And let me give you another example that are these required fields by any chance anyone knows? So they're not required field, right? It doesn't indicate these fields are required. So that means if I come in on this page, if I click on login button without putting information, so that is like, it's not there. So for me, it would be like, hey, yeah, I know the requirements is there. The gap is like, gap can be for improvement or let me open up that document. So that gap can be for improvement, like any gap, any missing from the requirement part of it. So we can suggest for the improvement. Like I can say, okay, there should be a required field. So if you can put some sort of marking on there. They usually do asterisks. Like it could be asterisk marks, so asterisk marks indicates that this is a required field. Or, they could just write the required field, required field. Those kind of stuff, like, can be fulfilled or catch during the testing, and can be solved or fixed. So the gap would be like more of the requirement that this requirement did not specify that has to be in an email format, of the numbers, letters, what format, and how many characters, and uppercase, lowercase. Does this allows uppercase, lowercase, and what kind of data does it require? So those were not covered on the story. So when we're testing it, providing data, we're going to try with the different things, and we know it as a QA engineer or as an end user that whenever we log into a site, it has a combination of numbers and letters. I cannot just enter numbers for the password. It should be some sort of restriction, or if it's intentionally given, then there should be a boundary, or there should be a requirement, a clear requirement there. Then I should have on my acceptance criteria should be okay. A password field should be, the acceptance criteria will be numbers, letters, special characters, and no more than 12, 15 letters. So I know that the requirement is clear and testable, so we can find that during the testing. So that is why it is important that the software testing fills in that gap. So, and testing can be done either manually and automated. Like manually, what we do manually, we write test cases, we execute those test cases like step by step. If we look at over here, what would be my manual test cases? Like, for example, if I do login button, enter email address here, then enter password, then click on login button. That's my manual test case. So I have to write here my email address, and then I have to enter the password, and then click on login. So that will be my manual test case. But I can run the same thing with introducing the automated tools, either unified functional testing, which is by HP, which is a licensed tool that some companies use. But nowadays, what we're going to do as a SDET, or software development engineering task, which is a Java Selenium, we're going to be using it. So that's an open source tool. The company don't have to pay a penny for it, and we're going to learn that how to utilize that tool and automate those steps. So what it do is, when we're testing a story manually for the checking the functionality of the application or this login page. So after we're done with the manual testing, we can automate each steps or each stories to kind of verify and validate that these all things appears on the page, and also it provides it meets the acceptance criteria of this page. So when I click on login button, after providing all this data, make sure it logs me into the system. So after we're done with the manual testing, or during the manual testing, we're also creating, so we're testing it and also we're creating our script. So I'll walk you through, guys, a little bit of it, how it's being done. So that's the way when you go to the Java class or the Sdet, Selenium class, you will have a clear understanding of what I have explained, how we are transforming manual test cases to a automated test suite or test script. Okay, so this is what the water software is saying, why software testing is necessary, right? So as a human, we make mistakes, and software testing is necessary because we all make mistakes. some of the mistakes are expensive, as I explained before. It could be the risk of human lives and financial risk. So that's very important that we test each and every software being developed and utilized before they go out on production or to the users. What is software development lifecycle? So there's a nice short paragraph he wrote out. So that's pretty good. So if you're writing some like a summarizing summary of things, so that means it tells or it gives you the better idea of understanding the whole life cycle or whole concept of each process. When you go through the document, when you go out and go to website, Google it, so you'll find different definitions of it, and from that you would have a good understanding. So when you understand the process, then it's easier for you to kind of speak about it, say about it, and discuss about it. So the phases are there, which is pretty nice, neat. So I would encourage everyone to go through and write out your the answers that I have provided the question the other day. There's another email. Let me open that up. Another submission for homework. Okay, right. Okay, so here's another the homework submission. So that's basically this brother also wrote pretty good paragraph about SDLC, why software testing, and what is software testing. So if you look at each one of you, like these are not the same copy, but actually it's delivering the same message, right? So basically, it's about how you understand, right? So let me put it this example. All of us, I think, here in this class are people from a different country, different place, different states, different background, right? But we all do understand to interpret or explain when we need to eat, when we're tired, when we need to do certain things. So although we speak differently, we explain differently. We can be some of us use the sign language to express. Some of us use the body language to express. Some of us use actual language to express, and also the language can be different. But we all mean the same thing: that I'm hungry, I need to eat, or I need to I'm tired, I need to take some rest. So the goal is like just the understanding part of it. Are we really understanding what is these topics? You can explain differently. You can explain in a broader, shorter way, but is it delivering actual topics, what we are trying to achieve? So yeah, these are pretty short, nice descriptions, and I would say that you guys did a wonderful job of explaining things. The only way you can explain things when you really focus on like kind of collecting information and studying it. So when you go through all these questionnaire, then you go to the site or the document that I have provided, take some from here and compare it with the other websites and kind of come up with actual thinking. So when you're reading it, you understand this is what it is. So that's kind of stay in your head when you're preparing something yourself and from your thought, and that is actually registering in your brain as a kind of a picture. So you can pull the picture out anytime you want and kind of explain it. And this is what basically we were going to be doing. Like you guys will learn it, explain it to us, explain it to the class, to the other students, and go through that entire cycle as you're learning the other stuff. So wonderful job, brothers, whoever, both of you, that you have spent some time on a homework, and really, really appreciated that. And everybody else should be also, please do your homework and at least work on this to submit, spend some time, because only thing that you can achieve, see that the courses are short weeks, so we got only 13 weeks to teach you. We can probably teach you for the entire year. There's a lot of things to teach, but same thing's going to happen. If no difference is going to make if we do not put any effort. So you need to think this way, like maybe some of your friends or the classmates that you might have experienced that they were going to the class for years after years, right? They could not complete. The reason because they are going just for the going purpose. They don't have any goals. They did not put enough effort, and they did not work towards to it to achieve the goal. So our class is basically goal oriented, I would say, and we want everybody to be goal oriented because we have our own goals that we wanted to achieve. Like we want the students to be prepared within a certain amount of time, but also not like prepared means like the student has to be ready to work from the first day on their own. So we wanted to give that kind of knowledge to each of our students, and not only the work, we want our students to be able to teach, so they can give a lecture on any topic. I know that not all the teachers can be students. Not all the students can be teachers. I said the other way, but at least for the presentation purposes, like demo purposes, because those are the daily needs you're going to be facing through, you're going to go through at your daily work life. So you have to kind of understand and be expert at it. So you have to do the presentation, talk about the topics, and explain it. Make sure you understand what the topic's talking about and what you need to deliver, what you're understanding. So those kind of stuff. So really greatly appreciated, and please everyone else do your homework and submit it via email. And also these things we're going to be covering up over and over during the automation phase, like when you're automating your tools. So they will be telling about how to automate the other instructor will go through the other how to utilize the tools to automate any of the manual test cases. Any questions so far on anything? Okay, so if there's no questions, I'm going to do try to create a manual test case based on our the site that we have, and we're gonna try to implement those in automation and walk you through a little bit of showing automation, what the benefit we're going to get from the automation, and what we are going to be doing as automation asset engineer. So, and there's going to be more details and in-depth of teaching of asset like a Java and Selenium, but I'm going to just give you a little overview so you guys kind of be excited, and definitely we are excited to teach that course. And that is like currently a high demand job in the market as a QA engineer. Mostly the asset engineers are more required and more preferred. But also it's not only that, you know, there's some manual testing needed too. So manual testers are also required. But if you become a good at manual testing, including Section 508, which is like Section 508 is testing. Section 508 is a law for the disabled folks to be able to use any of the technology or the system provided by government or government system, just like a regular user can use it, so they should be able to use it too. So make it a compliance to disabled folks that they can use it. Okay, so what I would do basically, out. Okay, so let's do it side by side so you guys can see. Can everyone see the screen? A little bit tiny, right? But just to give you a better picture on when we're writing a test case. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Thank you for confirming. Okay, now the subject, maybe, you know, this is, I could say, SDET training, right? So SDET. So this is a test case, the typical test case template, right? Manually when you write it. So this is how it's going to be. So actual result, actually it can be there, and then it can be another column, pass, fail, column 2, pass, fail, whatever, or sometime actual column. If it passes, it's just, you know, you're going to pass, fail. So it doesn't matter if you have this way or if you add another column, that's fine too. So depending on how and what each company wants it. Like if there's nothing there, then you can create a simple the standard template just like this. Or if you want to add more columns, it's just a more information as like a gives them more visibility and understanding. So for example, asset training is the project or the web page. Then my test ID is CC1. That's the home page. Like basically, then I would say so as that home page. test case name. So that's a homepage test case that I'm writing up the test step. So I'm launching browser, which is description, right? So my first step is like launch browser. Now, remember that as I was mentioning that if I have on the requirement document, right? If the customer wants a browser, what type of browser? Like if they want their clients to use all browsers, right? Then we have to make sure be specific to write down launch browser. Then we have to do multiple times. Like if I have to do launch browser, and instead of that, if it's a multiple browsers need to be tested across browser, then I would say launch browsers. Then I can launch browsers. Then I would explain over here Internet Explorer IE, which is Internet Explorer. Then I'll write down Mozilla Firefox, or then again Chrome, Google Chrome, and Safari, Apple Safari, or Opera, any browser. So whatever browser that we need to test, we'll set that, and the browser shall launch. So that means my first step would be whatever browser, the description I will write down. If I have browser, just a browser, like any browser can be, I can launch. And if I do not have a specific browser there, then I'll try to test all browsers. So we have to find that out from the requirement document when we're writing the test cases, where we can ask those questions during the grooming session when they're grooming up the stories, that we can ask Tim, hey, is this requirement is this for just the IE Internet Explorer, or is it for all browsers, or is it just specific to any browser? If there's no specification, no limitation, restriction, then it's any browser you can open up. If some browser don't work, if they don't care, that is fine. So as long as we test it, we submit our results. So we write down that browser, my expected result when I launch browser shall launch, which is like basically it's attached with the operating system. Obviously, pass fail, this is not going to affect impact the development of that application. So it's going to be reported internally or fix it before we go on testing. So that means like this is your basically environment setup testing that you are doing, that your browser working properly, launching it, right? So the second step would be enter URL. So we're going to enter URL of this link, right? So when we enter this URL, entering, which is like, insert URL, click enter, or enter URL. Basically when you write enter URL, that automatically you're going to enter URL and hit go or hit enter, right? So when you enter URL, what we should see, basically, if you open up a tab, so I'm at the browser landing page. Is about my browser defaults to Google. So it is the browser landing page. So my browser launch. So first step when I did, like I wrote down, I launched browser. So my browser launched, right? So actually result you can write down either browser launched, and then you can have another column pass fail, or if it launched, you don't have to write it down, just to write down pass or fail. So my test passed. Now when I'm entering this URL here, and click, and it's launching. So my expectation is like expected result is Sdet Sdet training homepage shall display. So Sdet training homepage displayed, right? So when I clicked on it, this is my expectation. The homepage shall display, so it displayed. Or as the login page shall display. I mean, homepage or login page. I would say login page. Login page shall display, so it displayed, right? So now, in order for me to log in, like if I wanted to log in, what do I need? I need email address and a password, right? So my third step would be enter user email and email address. So if my requirements document specify that email format has to be the certain way, right? So I'll write that down. Now it can be number and a beginning, so the numeric and combination of numbers and letters .com, or I can just spell out here combination of letter, first name, combination letters, numbers, last name, combination letters, numbers .com. So we'll do that, and my expectation is like what am I expecting here when I enter that? My expecting would be the user email address shall be accepted in proper format. So if this is in proper format, it shall be accepted. That's what my expectation is. So if it's not in proper format, it should give a message, error message, or the warning saying that please enter email address in a proper format. So that is another thing that, message may not be there, or if it doesn't give you a message, then the user would not know. So those kind of improvements can be added to and recommended to the development team. So my expectation should be like here, maybe when I'm entering onto that email address field, or the email address shall be populated in the field. So sometimes what happens that you enter it like here, anything, whatever, then when you click out of it, then it goes away. So make sure that it is populated there, right? So email shall be populated, email shall be populated, email shall be populated. Email shall be populated in the field. Okay. And if I, okay, so I wrote down a certain format and email shall be populated and in the proper, email shall be populated with appropriate. Proper format, proper. So whatever format that in requirements has, if I write it down, so I know that this is the format it requires and it is there. So now from these requirements, we have actually what the requirement says is written down over here, right? So if you look at the format, is like a first name do not have numbers, last name does have, like here, do the first name, SDLC first. Name, last name 1, 2, 3. Last name 123.com, right? So no, sorry, not .com, the at whatever.com, at Sdet training, Sdet-training.com. Like, okay, so this is like an email format, right? Usually this is what we do, like a first name, last name at gmail, whatever.com. So like I'm giving an example here. This is the format, right? I provided here. And this format was created because when I'm mentioning this format, following format means like this format has to be established and implemented. And here my expect criteria is proper format. So when I enter my name and password, so if I'm specifically saying that it has to be that there or this format, it has to be this format. And if we do say email format, just the email format here, so it could be first name, last name, any mix match numbers, only not any special characters. So it has to be letters or numbers, not any special characters. Only special characters would be accepted is like at the rate, that would be accepted. So if we do that, and this is what it is, and if you enter it, if it's visible, if it shows there, that means it passed, right? And also, if it's just a requirement says the first name dot last name 1, 2, 3, and this specifically says 1, 2, 3, which is a number. The last name has to have a number on it, right? Because the requirement says it this way. Now, what you're going to do, you're going to find a negative test case for this test step. What is the negative test step? This is like a positive you're doing, like so it gives you the result. Good, that's fine. But how do you know if you do provide without the number, because this is the requirement? Now, how are you going to validate this is working? By entering it correctly, it doesn't validate, it just says it's working, but it specifically says this way it should work, otherwise it should not work. So how are you going to prove that it should not work, or it's not working, or it's working properly? So you enter the same email address over here without the number and try to see if it accepts, and then, or giving you any kind of warning. Then again, also you just use numbers. So there's the two other steps, your negative test you're adding. So you're as a QA engineer, that you have a creative thinking of finding the bug. So make sure that, remember that we're the bug lovers. So we, as a test engineer, we want to have bugs. Bugs mean defects. Like this is a technical term, or the IT terms called bugs. Defects error. I mean, error could be something different than a defect. Defect is like something that's not working. Error could be just a warning message or error messages. So, but bugs or the defects most. So that's called bug or defect. So we need to find bugs, or if you can break somewhere somehow the system or the application, that's what we need to do. So developer can go back and fix it rather than going out to the actual users. And if they break it, then it would be a big mess and big issue, big problem. So you can create 2 more test steps out of this, like negative test. Like you can say, like enter email address with the numbers only. And like, let me open up a row, insert row. Okay, now step 3. Now I want to copy this. Just trying to show you guys a little shortcut. So this is what you can do also in a real life too. So copy this and modify this. So enter email address with the following formats, right? That was the first one. That's a positive because the requirement says first name dot last name 123 at whatever.com, right? So that has to be. So the key point here is like this is specifically says number and letters on a last name, right? So what I would do, my negative test case would be enter email address with the numbers with the following format: first name, last name. At this, so we're not entering number. So what am I expecting on here? Now my expectation was over here. Email shall populate in the field, right, with the proper format. So it did populate, right? Now what is my expectation going to be here when I'm doing a negative testing? So can anyone tell me that when I'm entering something that's not in the requirement, and what is my expectation going to be there? What should I write over here? Can anyone volunteer, please?
It's after entering the email address, the expected result should be asking for the password.
No, this one I said, yeah, that's fine. But what I said over here, right? This is like for this step right here. So if you look at this step over here, right? This was not like no email address, nothing, right? So basically the format that I'm saying. So this is like a format oriented, and there's a requirement on this field that this email address has to be on a certain format, like
I mean without the number, right?
Right, without the number.
Without the number.
Right. I'm
just
entering without
write
the
it
number
down like
now.
a first and last name.
Right. So like for example, I'm giving like okay, the requirement says this one has to be there with the number, right? It's only
Right.
this. So if you enter anything else besides this format, like first name, which is a letter only, dot last name plus the number, right? So this is the format. So this is like a requirement. It's like a hard kind of boundary. You could say, okay, this has to be like this, right? Now, if I am providing something different than what the requirement says, like here, I don't have the
suppose
number.
I mean I can explain in my like I have like the Sudeep Das Cool 20 at yahoo.com. If I write it down like the
Right.
Sudeep Das Cool at yahoo.com, then it show up like the error.
Correct.
Right.
So what is my expectation is here. That's what I try to get. Yes. So now this expectation will be system shall not populate the email, right? Okay, the system shall, okay, the email shall evolve as a system, or The email, now here, let me copy this here. So email shall
is not proper
not,
format.
Should not be populated in the field and display error message, right? So now this is my expectation. So if I'm entering something with just the first name, that last name, no number, that means this system should give me error message saying whatever, display message. I cannot display message, warning message, right? I can enter error. I can say warning message, right? So warn me that, hey, it's the wrong format, or enter, please check your email address, right? So when it's displaying this is expected result. This is what expected from the system. Now, my question to you, if I am entering a format that is not in the requirement, a different, and I am getting a message, warning message, what would be my actual result status? Anybody?
Is failed.
Anybody else?
It should be failed.
Anybody else?
What was can you tell me one more time? The question is,
okay, the question is, like, I am entering a email address in this field which is not in the requirement, like I'm doing a negative testing, right? This is like a positive testing. Positive testing is basically whatever requirement says you enter the same way and verify it is working. But it says that this is the format, first name dot last name 1 2 3 with a number. Now, on my negative testing, negative step, I am not providing these numbers to my email address, email format. So my expected result is email shall not be populated on the field and display a warning message. So this is expected. And when I execute these and I see this message tells me, hey, you know, it's not there, or it's giving me message, please check your email format, right? So when I see that and this message, what is my actual result gonna be? What should I write over here?
Missing information?
No, on this one, my result, like when I check, the warning message given, like missing information or check your format, that's fine. I understand that. This is like when you log in as this person missing your
you can write down the meets the criteria.
No, that's fine, but that's why I said like a warning message. I wrote down warning message. My expected result is a warning message I'm expecting. Like, okay, now let me give you a good example of just as simple as that. Okay, everybody loves to drink soda, pop, right? Or like, put it this way, not soda is like a bottle that's manufactured. Like, let's do this here. Okay, coffee, right? I go tell in a coffee shop, maybe Starbucks or anywhere else, maybe go to McDonald's and tell them a coffee. I need my coffee, or go to Dunkin' Donuts, say 2 sugar, 1 cream. So they prepare my coffee, and I'm expecting them to give me 2 sugar and 1 cream. They put 1 sugar, 1 cream, right? So when I drink my coffee and I found that 1 sugar, one cream or one sugar missing, less sugar.
So one sugar is missing. So add.
Right. So
like,
in that
I
case,
have to add.
in that case, like actual result is failed
Edit.
because they failed to meet my requirement, right? Right. So they failed to meet my requirement. But if they meet the requirement, then it's passed. So here I'm saying my negative test case is saying these, like if I enter these, I should receive a message displaying, right? So what my result is going to be? Is it pass or fail?
Is
add
pass.
Information. Add information.
No, this is we're talking about the message, but my result.
No, is passed.
Message. This. Who said pass?
Is passed.
Who said pass? Who's that?
Sdet.
Sdet. Very good. Good answer and correct. Yeah. This is what I was looking for. Because we're saying this is what it should behave, right? I'm telling this one, hey, I wanted to enter this number and this system should give me message. And I'm finding that messages, when I enter, it did not save my email address. It just wiped out and give me a message. Check, give me a warning message. So I'm finding this message, so my test case is passed. Although that's why I said I'm doing a negative testing. So when I'm doing a negative, and if it meets the acceptance criteria and expected result is matching to actual result, and that test is
because
passed.
I already
now
description over there already, the entire email address and the first and last name already. So I don't mention over there any number.
Exactly. There's a number, and here's saying without number. But without number, when you do that, then this is what you should receive. But then when you enter it and you receive the same thing, then it will be passed. So you understand, right, the concept and like how you're going to write in negative test cases, test steps. So you can add another step over here, basically same thing, saying that, you know, utilize numbers only, and the system shall, you know, give you the warning message that should be pass or fail. So this one is pass, right? So this one passed. Now you can write another one with just a number and special correctors, like, you know, you can continue on. You can continue add on a negative testing. So these are negatives. So I'll write down little n over here, right? So it shows the negative. It's just for my markings, like, you know, so I know that you guys know it. So you don't have to necessarily mark any of the negative testing, but you test it. So these test steps actually kind of explain when you have this document saved, and add those with the deliverables at the end, it shows that you went through positive and negative. Basically, it tells you you verified it well enough. So these test steps gives a better picture on the coverage of the testing, like, you know, what you have covered for this particular field, input field. So, and then if did not meet the criteria here, like if it did not, like actual testing, if it did not show the error message here, then it would have failed. Same thing with like anything that did not meet the expected result. Now, if your actual result is different than expected result, it will fail. One thing you remember, always, whenever you're expecting something, and if it's found on actual result, it's passed. If expected result, I mean, actual result is a difference than expected result, that is fail. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. So, do you guys want to take a lunch break, or do you want me to just go through the class till 2:30 and drop it, and we can join? How do you guys prefer? Is everyone present or everyone dropped? Let me check. Yeah, looks like that everyone is here. Are you guys okay with taking a break, or just you want me to just finish up? Go through 2:30. What do you guys want? Class, you can speak up and tell me. So based on you.
All right. If we finish, then we'll be done by 2 o'clock, right?
Yeah, we can finish it by 2:30, or if you guys want to just continue, I mean, however you want. I mean, like, or if you need to eat something and go take a prayer break or something, that's fine too.
The class is at 2:30 until. If we take lunch
We
break,
said 2:30. We can go longer. I mean, if needed to, so it doesn't matter. Like nobody is bound to stay till 2:30. I mean, if you have anything, any assignment, and another topic that the brother mentioned earlier, like one of the brothers says they wanted to watch the soccer game tomorrow. Is that tomorrow? I mean,
yeah, tomorrow is the final.
What time is it? Soccer game?
Eastern time, 11 o'clock.
11 a.m.
Yeah, 11 a.m. Eastern time.
So how long would that be?
That'll be like 2 hours, I believe. 90 minutes plus, the prize ceremony and everything with 2 hours.
So you guys decide. Tell me, let me know. What do you guys want to do tomorrow? Do you want to start class late? I mean, I'm willing to do that. I don't have no problem to adjusting it accordingly, because I'll be the one taking the class, so I can announce it to everyone to make sure that everyone knows the time. So if you guys wanted to start at 1 or 2, that's fine too. I mean, whatever you guys prefer. I understand that everybody may not have the schedule fit on the day, but if you guys, if class decides, or if you guys wanted to cancel it, like tomorrow's class, that's fine too. We can cover up probably on a group session. So, but I would suggest that please speak up if anybody have any different schedule and in a group discussion. So that's the way. Let me unmute brother Allah.
Brother
so
Moshe, can we start at 1 o'clock?
So if we start at 1, should there be enough time for you guys? I mean, for me it's okay. I'm asking everybody else in the class. If you guys wanted to watch the football, I know that some of you may, some of you may not. I'm not a big fan of a sports, but I mean, time to time I do watch it too, but it's not that I died for it. But some of you, I understand that it's a big fan of a soccer or the cricket or the others. We wanted to just make it.
For me, brother, morning is fine.
Morning, like 10, okay?
Yeah, 10 is fine.
Okay, and anybody else? Any different schedule?
I think, the same 10 o'clock, we can keep it. It's not like we can keep focus both of, watch TVs and then see your assignment.
Okay, that's fine.
10 o'clock.
That's fine, yeah. If you want, and we will start at the same time then, and we will be recording the session anyway, our session, so you can watch the homework session. And basically, this is going to be more of a recap tomorrow of the same thing, and we might just do some practices, because we have covered pretty much all materials, all you need to know on the beginning level of software testing. So we're going to be more discussing those topics, and we might just, dismiss earlier too. So depending on what we have covered, and basically we have covered a lot today. Like this was the most important topic, I would say, the writing a test cases and understanding the test case. And I'll be also going through now automation script, showing you guys how to automate these steps, basically logging into this page. So I have a script. I'll show you that how it's going to be created, how you guys going to be creating these.
Brother, sorry for interruption.
Sure.
If you done without break today 2 o'clock, it will be good for maybe. Then it will be
okay. Sure.
Start tomorrow.
Sure, not a problem. I appreciate.
I mean, I don't have any problem, but other people maybe have.
Okay, anybody have any objections? Anybody have any objections, guys?
Not from me.
No, I don't.
Thank you, brother.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Not a problem, class. So I'll go through. That's fine. We got about another maybe 15 to 17 minutes. We can finish it up after actually reviewing with you. So let me ask you guys questions. So tomorrow we set for 10. Those of you who wanted to follow the soccer game, you can drop at 10. And if we continue, we'll be recording the session anyway. So you're gonna have the video available to you. You can follow the video, or you can cover it up by posing me questions, sending me email. I'll try to host up any sessions that if you need to have me discuss one-on-one or as a group, I'll do that. Or you can just look at the video and see if you can understand from the video whatever we record. So the class is going to be at the same time. And if we see that we have covered enough, and I'll probably also discuss some of the topics for the following week class for the section 508. So this is what I'm going to be planning to. I'm planning to cover on tomorrow. Anything is not clear where I explained, or please feel free to reach out to me, or Google some of the stuff. You might find an answer if you don't understand. And please explain. So maybe some explanation. Sometimes listening somebody else gives you better understanding than reading the materials, or sometimes reading materials maybe give you more understanding than listening to somebody. So it's a person to person varies. So okay, so our class will be at 10 a.m. tomorrow, same time. No difference. If you wanted to drop off, after starting it when the game starts, or if you want to just look at both, like listening this and maybe watching on your phone or TV, that's fine too. But please make sure keep it in mute so the other don't get disturbed. Okay. So all right. So far everybody understand how to write test cases. Am I correct?
Yes.
Or anybody have any issues? And I would encourage you to write some test cases as a homework. Like you practice it at home. Grab any site. Go to Enterprise. Go to car rental site like a Hertz. Any site. Go to Yahoo Mail site and write up the test cases. It's not has to be exactly correct, but the format that I'm looking for, the thought behind I'm looking for is that think of the requirement of what needs to be there and what is there, what is not. Like this one don't have any negative boundary, or I cannot show you with the format because I don't know. This is just a site I picked randomly, right? So I don't know what's their requirement, but I just made up something saying that if I have it there. So I want you guys to practice the same way. So that's the way we can write out the good test cases. And if we have a good test case coverage, test case steps, it gives us a more accurate software. So this is one thing we have to look at. We have to be kind of the progressive thinker, critical thinker. So we have to think critically. We have to look at from a different angle that how, if I do this way, would it break? If I do the other way, if I add number, if I delete number, if I, a lot of combinations, a lot of things. Then you can also click on any object that when you hover over any object, an interactive element, they call it interactive element, anything that you can interact with your mouse. Like when you click on a link, if you move your mouse over, hover over, if it changes to the hand sign, that means it's interactive because your mouse pointer changing, right? So mouse pointer changing from place to place, like here, when it changes to this, that means you can click there and it's a field. So like if you look at the mouse pointer here, it's like an arrowhead, and then when you bring it over to the field, the input field here, like when you bring it to input field, it changes. So when you click it, that means you can type in any other numbers, letters, whatever. Just type in field, so input field. And when you like these are the buttons. When you move on to the buttons, these are basically button and there's a link in behind it. So when you hover over, it changes to hand sign. So are we clear on writing test cases? So you guys should be able to write some test cases. I need to hear from everyone. Please speak up and say yes, no, don't understand, or need help, please. Okay, so no talk. Okay, so those of you who are not talking, I would assume that you understood. But if you still don't, even later on, please don't be shy. Please don't be shy. Ask questions. Even if you need help, please let us know. We'll try to help or help you. Okay. So if you are confused, when you're working, trying to get it to put it together, and you're confused on how to do it, please feel free to reach out to me or ask any of us with the cyberbullying team. Will help you out. Okay. So with that said, I'm going to be closing the manual test cases part of it. And I was gonna, as I was saying to Siam the other day, my plan was like doing a little demo. So I have prepared a little demo for you guys. Basically, I'll show you. Okay, I'm gonna keep this and I'm not gonna close it. Actually, keep it here. So I'll bring it up time to time and give you the example of how we do the automation. Okay. Let me open up my script and I'll go to, okay. Okay, here we go. All right, as I was mentioning that as a Sdet engineer, we are going to be doing basically creating like this codes, this called programming, right? But this is not, don't get scared by listening programming or developer. Right? We are developer, but we're in test, software engineering and test. So Sdet is like a software engineering and test. So these are the Java languages and also Selenium, the framework that kind of interprets to allow to bring up the jars to create a class and stuff. So allows you to write the code so where it will go out to the browser and simulate or execute the same.
Brother Murshid, is that like the Eclipse and the NetBeans is the same thing? Like they are doing like the same thing?
Yeah, NetBeans. Yeah, it's the same. NetBeans IntelliJ, yes. But you guys going to be taught with our expert. So definitely you'll get a chance to ask a whole lot of questions, and he has a lot better answer than me. I'm not expert on automation. I do have some knowledge, but giving you the flavor of just sharing that you guys going to be what you guys going to be doing. And this is basically easy as he goes through the steps of setting up, how you're going to set up these, how you're going to import these jar files and stuff like this, like these are Selenium jars, right? And then also you have a Java, the library. So these are the ones, how you're going to import those to your project. He'll walk you guys through. I'm going to go through just the manual versus the automation, okay? So everything else, as far as the automation part of it, is going to be covered with your Java class with the instructor, Brother Alam, MD Alam, and he will cover it. Definitely, he is a certified Java developer, and also he's a Sdet lead. He's been working for more than 10 years in these industries, and he's been doing that, so he's more expert. So I'm just giving you the basic steps and just showing that what you're going to be doing, comparing to your the manual versus the automation. So manual test cases, like we are like launching browser, entering URL, entering email address, then entering password and clicking, right? So if I go to this site over here, so basically our test case is the test step would be like launch browser, enter URL. So when you enter URL, we're coming to the landing page. Then we are entering our email address, right? And then password, then click on it. So after clicking on it, then at the end, when you go to the next page, we are verifying some messages. So let's look at over here. So my email address and my password is there. So let me do manual execution. Now, Murshid Ahmed, and then that's my password, right? So I entered my password, and if I click on login, right? Now, see, okay, so nice that I went to the page, it accepted me, says welcome back, logged in successfully, right? So I got the message, right? So when I log in, when I'm on this page, so I'm verifying, yes, I got the message, I'm logged in, so I know that I'm logged in successfully, I get the message. If I do not receive anything or don't give me a message, that means I'm not logged in, right? So let's go back, close this, and open this up again. Now here I do say like abcd dot efgh at gmail.com, right? And I do password like 123, now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the letters, whatever. Now, if I click on login, it should not take me there because it's not a valid email. I just entered something, right? So I click on login. What do I see? Nothing, right? It doesn't give me anything. It wiped out the password. So basically, I should not. The system is working right, but at least as a user, like invalid username, try again. You see that as a user, I should get a message. So that message is right there, right? Invalid user password. So that is verification. That was a negative test that I did, like putting wrong username, wrong password, and see if it gives me a correct message, right? So in these steps, basically step by step, we do write manual test cases. So when we execute manual test cases, and if I go to the next page of other test cases done, and those are deployed at the same time, so I have to run these manual test cases again and again, right? Manually. So manually typing these again and again to the page is just time consuming, and it becomes at a certain time it becomes so tedious, so kind of like annoying, right? For some folks, and some folks might love it, right? But regression test, and also it's a time consuming. Like as you build up like a more test cases, they really cannot execute all those within the 2-week sprint that while you are doing the other story testing. So in that case, when you automate those, like you will have a test suite. I'm hearing some sound, somebody else. I'm going to mute you. Caller number 4. Okay, good. So when we build up a test suite, right? With let me pull up this test suite, like one after another, like one test case, like this is like one of the test case login, and then if I build another one continuously, then what it would do basically while I'm doing testing the stories from our 2-week sprint, and I'm running the same test suite that I have developed over here, everything just running, click of a button, it will run automatically. I don't have to just go back and manually do the regression testing. Regression testing is done. Functional testing is done to check the functionality. The regression testing is done while the small build released to the test environment after development complete. So when they're doing like an agile method, agile model basically allows development team to develop the small portion of the work and merge into the test environment. So when they deploy it to the test environment, their codes might break the previous one that worked. So therefore, we need to verify and validate those codes by running the regression test suite. So we have all the test cases are converted over to regression test suite. One of the examples from the manual test cases that I have shown you here, automation, you basically write out the Java code, and then if we look at over here that I kind of wrote out, let me see if I can kind of view, set up a view a little bigger. Oh, I guess I have to go to the view settings. Okay, I'll do that later probably. It'd be better to kind of do the settings later. So if you look at over here, right, here's a little different step when you try to develop automation script. It's a lot step to cover up kind of few steps, but this will benefit you in the long run because you do it once. You invest your time once to create this, and then you can continue to run. Like first, that with the Selenium and the Java, we have to kind of define the drivers. So we do write this code here because the Selenium driver is downloaded, and Selenium standalone server, the Chrome driver is downloaded and stored there. So we have to define it, like we have to give a path where it is residing, right? And then go from there. Also the Selenium that you have to like add Selenium jars into your project. So you need to do that, and that is also you import it from a location going to be in your machine. By doing that, you're ready to import Selenium code and write it out. So you have to first define the browser, the driver, the browser first. Chrome driver, so Chrome browser, we're going to run it in Chrome, and the Chrome driver, then you define it, you write the Chrome driver, then you tell the driver, which is like basically telling the driver to go to the browser and get these, like open up this site, right? So it'll go and open, which is like basically what we said on our step, launch the browser. So we're telling over here, we're commanding this by these codes automatically. When we click on this, it'll go and open up the browser. Then we're telling, when you go there, you landed on the home page, and then we're verifying, right? We're verifying that that page is there, landing page, because manually when you test it, you can visualize, you can see in your eyes. But when you're running the automation code, it's no way that you can verify unless if you put a parameter, like if you put a check one, basically like assert. So when you do assert on a Java, says assert, like you're checking, like you're telling the code, you're writing a code and telling that, give me this value that present on the page. Then if it is there, print me the message of email address field present. So when you go enter the URL and go to the landing page, you can see it as a human being, as a common computer executes it. How you're not there present, you're not there present, so you don't want to, you cannot see it, right? You don't have a camera set up or running when this is something that you don't want to do, but the code has itself a capability of capturing what it shows there. So it goes behind. When you tell the codes, you can tell the codes, okay, tell me that this field is present. So it goes behind and pull out from, like we showed the page view source before, right? So these are the code actually written there for that page. So there's somewhere a field with that name, right? Email field. Let me see if I can Okay, so email address here, so name is here. So look at that, the name, right? So if you look at this and the code here, see, it's the same thing, right? It's the same thing. So it is pulling out, you see that? The code. So it's telling me, we're telling that driver, go find the element by name, what the name is, like this is the name. So get the name. So when it gets the name, it's telling and confirming me. I'm telling also this to this automation tool, say, print me a line, like out print line. So print me a line saying that email address is found. So if this is found, and it's going to give me this message. So if it's not found, it's going to error out. It's going to be basically a fail. So when it's found, it says,
Brother,
okay,
those
found.
is called like the escape sequence or something?
No, those are assert, like
Assert, okay.
kind of checkpoint. Yeah, checkpoint, like a checkpoint verification, like kind. So assert, yeah.
Okay.
So this is what basically, like, you're adding like a little bit of more logic to it, but you're making it more robust. So every step automatically executed, so you know actual results. Because as a human being, if you step by step test it, you see it on your own eyes. But when you're running automation that you don't have capability of seeing it, so you have to rely on the code. So you have to customize the code way that you can capture each and every element on the page to kind of verify it. Like if I go in there, let me go back, so close out this, so kind of show you how. So this is like from the source, and I'll also point out some how we're going to locate so if you go to here, like on a Chrome browser, and if you go more tools and developer tools, basically from here also you can locate the element here from there. So earlier I was showing the source, which is a DOM document. So that was a DOM file, document object model. So if you click on this little arrow and a box right there, and if you hover over to any element, it'll highlight the field. You see that? You click on this one, it highlights it. So now name is there. See that? And this is how you capture it and enter to your script. When you write out a code, then you enter that element over here, and you add those methods, kind of executing your process or the steps, right? So this is how you would be developing. I mean, these are the steps I wrote down so you can kind of see that what we're doing here. So I'm not going to go on a detailed describing it, because you guys are going to learn that, just to show that these manual test cases, when you automate, and what benefits that we get. So now I'm going to be running it, and we'll just end the session. So here, if you look at number one, we're defining it, launching the browser and navigating to the application, right? Then number three, enter email address. We're entering the email address, telling this. Before entering email address, we're telling this driver, hey, make sure that email field, this field is there. If it's there, give me a print me a message, right? And then we're telling driver, okay, if it is there, then go ahead, enter the email address. And then if after entering email address, we're telling the tool, hey, enter the password. So it's going and entering the password. Then after entering the password, we're doing the clicking on login, right? So after password, I click on login. Now we're telling again, commanding here, say
it's like the command box, right?
Right. Click on that box right there, right? Login button. So we're clicking on that. Now after clicking the login, I want to make sure that if I am landing on the next page, so when I'm landing on the next page, make sure that I have, I mean, as a physically or manually testing when you test it, you see that you go to the next page and you see all these messages says welcome and the other stuff,
I'm
right?
sorry.
But
Is there any way to zoom out? Because I could rarely see the character in my end. I don't know if it's
okay.
same as everyone.
Let me see. The codes are a little bit tiny, right? 1 second. Let me go to settings. See if I can navigate it. There's got to be a way. This one might be different. So 1 second.
If everyone else can see it, I mean, next time we'll figure it out.
Yeah, there's a setting. I haven't. Hold on a second. Where is the setting? Editor, let me try the other way if I can zoom it. No, let's see. Well, there's settings. I mean, currently I am lost on that. I'll check it out.
Never mind it. Never mind it.
Yeah.
I'll hang on. Never mind.
Okay. Okay. So basically the codes are there. So after we log in, right? So we're verifying. We landed on the next page. Make sure that we have there. So what we're doing the assert again, inserting the checkpoint, basically telling that the string message and then whatever the message comes in, like we're capturing that message, right? So system should do the confirmation message. So we're writing out that message, and also we're getting the title page from the page title. If you look at here, the page title is going to be here, right? So we're capturing that. Make sure that we get the title page, right? This one says as the account management, right? So that should say so title. It should say different title, so it confirms so the driver didn't get title. So the title should change, the account management, and then the other one should say something different. Then let me see what it is so we can verify that. Okay, so this title still says account management, but anyway, I just put it in there because sometimes what happens when you go one page to another page, the page title changes. So, but this one we don't need it, but we needed the message that we got. Basically, the first message was given, but I just added that to kind of show that it can do different way. So, so I'm gonna go ahead, close this browser, right, and try to run the script, and you see how long it'll take to run. So this is the script right here. So let me click on it. I'm gonna just go ahead and run. Hope it runs. Let's try. Okay, it is running over here. Okay, that was quick. Did you see it? You see at a glance, right? It was just quick. All right, let me do it again. Let me close out all my emails on the browser and Chrome browser. Close it. Let's see. Let me run that again, and it'll probably be running quick. Okay, so this is here, running it quick, right? So see how fast it ran, right? As a user, if you try to enter all this information, you have to type it in and go in and try to use it over and over. Let's drag it here, close out, open it here. Okay, it should open here. Now, okay, it's running here. I don't know why it's opening on my second window. Anyway, so what I was trying to tell that look at the test case ran, right? So we wrote over here if this is true, if all of these are true, like, you know, print test pass, right? So all the steps were met and these information are correct. So if you look at over here, email address field found, so that's the first verification that we set it, right? Before we enter the email. So at the first page, when we enter the URL, this message is there. So it found the element. That's why it is giving me the confirmation that this found. And then it entered the email address, password, then clicked on the login button. And after clicking on the login button, it gave me the confirmation of confirmation is giving me logged in successfully. You see that the logged in successfully is given. So what I did, I wrote down this confirmation. So for us to get the confirmation and the plus, which is the concatenated, the message that was displaying on there on the page itself after logging in. So that this message is translating whatever in that message. So as a message, whatever is showing, it is bringing up right here as in logged in successfully. And this is also like another the title header to capture from the title page on that page. So this one is staying the same. It doesn't matter. And at the end, saying that if all this true, basically this line, print this line says pass. So everything met the criteria as true, as pass, and then here it's closing the browser. So this is what you guys are going to be doing, and also it's a more in-depth and detailed. This is just like a simple a script that I wanted to share with you guys. This is what you guys are going to be doing, and these are pretty simple. Like you need to know.
So when you write it down, like the public class. Sorry, brother, interruption. The when you write it down for the public class, so that's mean like everyone can see that. So when you write it down like a private, so
no. This is like the public class and private class. This is like a Java's class. So you'll learn those in your class. You'll learn those when you go to the Java class. You'll learn everything, all differences, how you're going to create a class, what's the difference between that. Okay, so everything's going to be taught on that class. So basically, I wanted to just show that what you're going to do, basically, why I'm teaching this to you guys, and when you go to automation, what are you going to learn there? So this is what my intention was. So I'm not going to go to detail of any of the Java or Selenium part of it. So this is like basically I'm saying that we're teaching it here for your understanding that how to write the test cases, right, manually, and how to transform these to automation, and what the benefit is the automation, right? So benefit you have seen already. I've explained it to you. The short amount of time you can run it, plus you can run multiple suites. Like if you do like these 100 of these test cases, if you execute manually, how long will it take? Probably maybe 100 test cases might take 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe 5 hours, or maybe 8 hours. If it takes you 8 hours for manually execute or maybe 100 test cases like these, then automation will take 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Maybe 10 minutes. Maybe 10 minutes. It did not even take, it took 2 seconds to execute this and verify, give you the result. right?
Right.
So yeah, that's about it. We'll wrap up today. And did everybody clear on that? If you're not, please feel free to ask questions, contact us, let us know what you're struggling with, what you have problem with understanding. And for Sister Sanjira, I'll send out those videos in today's video. Also, I'll share with you. You can get the access and view it. And I don't know if you guys get a chance to view our videos that as I sent out the document and shared via YouTube channel. So we'll do the same thing. We'll continue to share with the YouTube channel. If you cannot see any of those videos, or if you don't see it, please send us an email. We'll try to send it to you a different way and address those accordingly. And for Sister Sanjira, I owe you the documents and the last two classes videos and today's videos. If I'm missing anything else from sending it to you, please let me know after I send out the email, so we can probably you can ask if I'm missing or anything. With that said, so we're gonna end today's session, and inshallah we'll meet again tomorrow at 10. So everybody, so far have clear understanding.
Yes, brother. Today's class is like very much, pretty understanding.
Yeah, so we kind of did hands-on, right? So kind of just explaining what most of you are going to do. And other things that you cannot like show or do, you can just look at the diagram and kind of explain it. So that's why we want to do like the hands-on interactive session, so you do understand looking at the document and doing it, by yourself and see if it makes sense.
Right.
Okay, so if anyone have any question, or if you guys don't have any questions, then we're going to end the session for today, and inshallah we'll meet tomorrow. Any questions?
I don't have any questions. Thanks.
Okay, anybody else? Shako, Brother Aulad, Sister Sanjira?
No question. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you for joining, and we'll continue to work and learn together, inshallah, and
Tomorrow,
try to achieve our goal. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, brother. All right, brother.
Inshallah.